Welcome to Skill Stacking 101. Now, you got this training because you are tired of hitting those walls and not knowing how to get past them. Am I right? I'm right. I know I'm right because skill stacking is the key. It's the missing puzzle piece that you have been missing your entire life. And it is so simple. Four easy steps: discover, learn, execute, then repeat. But there's more to it because if it was that easy, you wouldn't have had to click on this and you wouldn't be watching this video right now. Now, listen, my name is Eric Howell. I a little short story, okay? A little short story. I'm an Air Force veteran, spent 6 years, air traffic controller for 13 years, quit that career and full-time real estate investor. And now I pretty much just do whatever I want to at the age of 36. I actually retired from air traffic controller. When I say retired, I walked away and I just quit at 32. Now, why is that important to you? Because I didn't do that by accident. And I know that you're wanting some of the same results. You won't get that financial freedom or whatever that big goal is that you're going after. And skill stacking is your missing piece. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, where does skill stacking actually come from? Skill stacking over the years, training people, leading people, understanding what I go through, there is no questions that there's nothing out there that is easy. All right. Those people that you see that are just looks like it just comes really easy, they do this. And I'm about to show you in this video. If you watch it all the way to the end, you're going to know exactly how those people who are doing the things that you want to do accomplish it so easily. Now, all you have to do is just open up your mind and come with me in this journey of skill stacking. And if you just give me this time, I promise you it's going to be amazing. This single thing changed my life. Not only did it change my life, but I had to go through this journey where I was learning how to build and scale a team. And I kept noticing these patterns of where, like, virtual assistants, I train and hire a lot of virtual assistants. I also train and hire a lot of Americans. And through that, whenever they come in, I'm like, what is your experience? And then we kind of go through a little interview process. And I'm like, hey, that's okay as long as you're willing to learn. And that's the main thing I was looking for. But through that process, I would give them a task. And what I kept seeing was is they could do it as long as it had a box and all they had to do was check that box. Now, that is an issue. We do not want to be box checkers because what happens whenever you put a box in front of you, you're like, okay, I did this thing, check, and you move on. Am I right? Yeah, absolutely. Like you are checking boxes. Think about all the things that we do and we don't even think about what we're doing. Like, have you ever been driving down the road or to work or from work and you don't even remember like getting there or leaving? Like, you don't remember that? Like, it's just robotic, right? And we're checking that box because our mind is so powerful. Are you ready to learn skill stacking? Let's go ahead and get into this. So, skill stacking. All right. This is skill stacking 101. Four-step process: discover, learn, execute, repeat. And we do not need to see me. And here we go. All right. So, let's first define a couple of things. How do we learn? Now, most likely you went to school and most likely you were told that after school you need to go and either go to college or go to the workforce. All right. Now, to do that, you had to sit in a classroom and you watched and you listened to Miss Betty, who's the school teacher. Now, Miss Betty was a great school teacher. She showed you things. She gave you work and you did it. And then all of a sudden, while you was doing that work, you had to take a test. And then you took that test and you turned it in, and Miss Betty sent it back to you. And she's like, hey, you did a C, or you got a C. You can do better, right? You can do better. And that's it. And then you moved on, right? That is what we understand as learning. Now, let me share this with you because this is very very important. So I'm going to pull my screen back up. What I just described right there is what you've been taught, that is how we learn. Set down, somebody shows you information on a board, and then you take a test on it, and it's A, B, C, D, 10 questions. And at the end of that, did you pass or did you fail? And then you move on. Am I right? Is that how you learn? Right? You're learning the information, you're reading the book, you're watching the video. Heck, you're actually doing the thing. How many times have you actually done the thing and you're like, hey, I'm learning this, right? All right, so let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper in this. How we actually learn is doing the thing. So, for instance, that guy right there that's holding that nail, he's about to learn real quick. You do not hold a nail whenever somebody's swinging this big giant hammer at you, right? Like, no, right? That's a no-no. And then these other guys, right? They're doing a thing. And because they're doing a thing, are they making mistakes or are they getting anything right? Right? That's the question. Because really, if you do a something and you continuously do that something good and you pass, you don't make mistakes, where do you learn? Because if you didn't make a mistake, then that meant that you already knew the thing. You following me? Think about that. If you do not fail, then how is it possible for you to learn anything? Because by definition of you not failing in the first place meant that you didn't have anything to learn. Now, bear with me on this. Now, this one is probably going to ruffle some feathers, but I just want you to open up your mind and just hang on with me, okay? So, my dad, he always has this thing where he goes, wisdom comes with age. My dad's a really smart man. I have great respect for my dad. But I kept hearing him say this over and over again. He's like, the older you get, the wiser you get. And then he would say things like, well, son, you just don't understand because you're not my age. But once you become my age, you're this, and this is going to happen. And then you will understand. And he's like, that is wisdom. And I started thinking about this because also over one day, my daughter Kaylee is sitting there talking to her papa, my daddy, and I overhear my daddy say that, right? Hey, wisdom comes with age. And it hit me. Does wisdom really come with age? And I actually looked it up. I actually looked up what wisdom is. And let's take these two people right here. And I want to ask you some questions. Are you okay with that? Now, the couple on the left, my left, 85 years old, never married. So they're not even a couple. All right. They're not together. Both of them started working at age 17. They worked the same job, the same position their entire life. They have plenty of leave saved up. They never go on vacation. They never traveled. They never experienced any place else. Are they wise? How wise are they? If they knocked on your door or you knocked on their door right now, would you accept their advice? Would you listen to them? How wise are they? Versus the couple on the right, age 22, married 3 years, started working age 17, worked 5 different jobs, 5 different positions, and traveled to 5 different companies or, sorry, countries. And now they're 22 years old. Like, would you take advice from a 22-year-old? Like, seriously, would you? Maybe you are 22. Maybe you're 12 year olds like my daughter. You're 12. How much experience do you have? And also, how wise are you? Better question is, which one would you rather listen to? The one who did the same thing for a lot of years, or the 22-year-old who has already experienced so much in life? Would you take marriage advice from the 85-year-old, or would you take marriage advice from the 22-year-old? Which one would you take advice from first? So, if this is true, and the person on the right, the 22-year-old who has literally experienced more, has more wisdom than the person on the left who's 85 and just did the same thing, then wisdom does not come with age. Can we agree? Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So now let's go and look at the difference between wisdom and experience. I want to read a quote from you to you from Henry Ford. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. That is brilliant. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Yes, right? Now, experience. Experience is the practical knowledge and skills gained through direct participation in events or activities. Practical exposure, learning by doing, trial and error. And then you have wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to make sound decisions and judgments based on a combination of knowledge, understanding, and insight. Wisdom is not just about having information, but also about applying that information effectively. How many Jeopardy players do we have right now, like listening? Yeah? Do you love the game Jeopardy? Trivia, right? How many people love trivia? Do you love playing trivia? Let me know. Now, I've always found it really interesting on those people that whenever trivia is on or Jeopardy is on, they really get into it. So when I was an air traffic controller, we had a break room and we would go in the break room and there's always those guys and they would have Jeopardy on. And as they're asking the questions and doing the thing, they would be so proud when they got that answer correct. And it always cracked me up. I was like, that's cool. I can't do that. I can't. Like if I play Jeopardy or trivia against you, I will lose. And I am okay with that. Okay, honestly. And here's why. Because what does that mean? It's just knowledge. It's useless. What are you going to do with it? Can you actually do anything with it other than play Jeopardy or trivia? Right? So whenever I say that, like think about that and really give that a little bit of thought. Jeopardy, trivia, it's useless knowledge. It is only potential. The only time that knowledge would ever come into place where you can actually use it and accomplish something with it is if it was actually executable, right? Now that's a big issue. Executable. Okay, so experience and wisdom are not the same thing, right? Let's make sure we understand that because experience is the practical knowledge and skills gained through direct participation in events or activities. You remember earlier at this segment, I was talking about box checkers. Now, when I was training my team, I really got into step one, step two, step three, step four. That way, it alleviated and removed all the errors that would normally be made. In business, we call these standard operating procedures. Now, that is a box to be checked. In the military, we had tons of these. In air traffic control, tons. All right. Like we had books that thick and wasn't like one book, it was like 30. All right. A lot of books, and it was all on standard operating procedures, depending on what we was doing. Now, during those times, I really didn't understand it because I didn't like having to read all these books and then be quizzed on these books. But during times like I was an air traffic controller at Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now that's a very busy facility, and I was in the radar. If you don't understand what that is, if you ever watched the movie Pushing 10, and you got Billy Bob Thornton sitting on a stool with a feather in his hat, and Billy Bob pulls up and everybody stands back because he's the best controller. And he steps up and he keys up and he starts working these planes and telling these pilots where to go. And like it was a big thing, right? Well, that was me. That's what I did. Now, that's a very high intense, stressful job, and it's fast paced. Now, since it was fast paced, I didn't have time to look things up and reference things inside of a situation. If an emergency came up, then my job was to know the procedures and be able to execute on those procedures, pushing the pilot into safety or other pilots and all the aircraft into safety and bringing them home, right? So that is very important. Now, there's no way that I could do that job with just experience. But as experience went on, meaning I actually did the job, I got better. And that's the reason in air traffic control, we have what's called on the job training. Now, a lot of career fields have OJT, on the job training. Now, I want you to think about what the purpose of this is, right? Is to gain experience. Because with experience, you would think that comes wisdom, but that is incorrect. With experience and this missing piece comes wisdom. And this missing piece, I'm going to tell you what that is later. You got to wait for this. And it's very, very important that you hear this. Okay. So, wisdom is the ability to make sound decisions. So that means the more experienced controllers or the older controllers, because they were doing it longer, they got to experience more harsh situations, stressful situations, unique situations. And every time they got out of those situations, they learned from that. And that made them wiser controllers where they didn't put themselves in those positions anymore. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. I know that air traffic analogy probably isn't best, but I figure you would find it interesting having like 20 planes all headed to the same point and thinking about how each plane has about 50 to 150 souls on board or people on board. And one person sitting down in the radar talking to all of these pilots and lining them up where they land all at one time, or not all at one time, but in a line, one plane after another on an airstrip. All right, think about that. Experience isn't enough. You have to have wisdom. Now, let me tell you how to use experience to get wisdom, because if you're only checking boxes, you're getting experience, but you're not getting any wiser. Let's think about this. All right. So, wisdom through skill stacking, discovery. All right. Discovery is the first step. All right. So, for instance, whenever I got into real estate, I remember I walked down out of the tower, and straight across the street was a Marriott hotel. And in that Marriott hotel, there was an event going on. And I'd never seen anything like it. I was so excited. And I was just like, oh my gosh, look at all these people in this hotel. And they're all going to this event. And it was a real estate event. All right. And they was selling a program. And long story short, in that program, these people told me about solo 401k. Now, if you don't know what solo 401k is, it's an investing product, meaning it's like a 401k, right? It's a retirement fund that you cannot touch until a certain age. Now, the solo 401k, what's so unique about that is I could put 20,000 in and go out and take that 20,000, invest it into whatever I want technically, and then whatever I make on that, if I set it up correctly, was tax free. Now, when I discovered that and I heard that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want that, right? I want to take my money and I want to put it into a product. And then I want to be able to take that product and put it over here into this investment and receive tax free money, right? That's amazing. Now, reason that was a discovery, because is that executable? I couldn't really just go out and snap my fingers and have a solo 401k. I had to learn more. So I discovered it, right? Cool concept, but it was only the first step, and that is discovery, right? So, for instance, maybe we got kids here listening. Um, Hot stove, right? A kid growing up, they have to discover that the stove is hot. They have to literally discover what heat is and how harmful it is at certain temperatures, right? They have to discover the difference between warm and hot and cold. And they do that by touch. So whenever you touch something hot, it burns and it hurts. And they learn real quick, don't touch the hot stove. Am I right? So Then we got learn. Now, we already talked about learn, how we think that learning is reading and listening to somebody and listening to me right now. Like you are learning, are you not? Are you learning right now? Tell me. Am I teaching you? Am I doing a good job? Is this eye opening? Are you learning new concepts that you never heard before? Am I saying something that just gets your brain turning? Are you learning? So, right now, you're watching this video. Hopefully, you have one of my skill stacking sheets in front of you ready to go because it's got some really good, cool stuff in there that'll help you. Hopefully, you got that in front of you and you're looking at it right now. Are you learning? Let me know. Are you? Now, big question is that learning? Is you sitting down in classroom or going to bed at night reading a book, is that learning? Okay, great question. Is it? False. It is not learning. That is only discovery. Okay, this is one of the big ahas. There's two big points in this training that I want you to take away. And this section right here, this is a foot stumper. Because if you can explain this to your children, if you can explain this to your team, if you can explain this to yourself, you're going to learn so much quicker. Not only is it going to be quicker, but you're not going to be overwhelmed anymore because now you get to understand it. And that's my true goal. I want to remove that overwhelm from you. That way you're comfortable going out here and doing a lot of things, skill stacking your way to success. That's the point of this training. All right? So, I want you to understand maybe whenever I said solo 401k, that was the first time you ever heard of that term. If that is the case, that is okay because you just discovered it. I even told you what you can do with it, but you didn't really learn anything. You just discovered it. It's not executable. Now, you see the equals, and then it's got the little guy, and he's thinking. Now, big question is, what is thinking? Thinking is learning. So this little area right here with this guy on the, standing up, drawing on the walls and everything else, he's really putting in work. All right. He's taking notes. You know, whenever we're going through school, they talk about how important it is to take notes. Now, why is it important to take notes? So when I used to take notes, I didn't realize this until after I like dialed in this concept. Um, I used to just write things. And you'd be like, yeah, Eric, duh. That's what taking notes is. Is it though? I don't know. That's a good question. Is it just writing question? Like just writing? Just, teacher says something and he says a word and I want to remember it. So I write it down. Right. So this is what got me with this concept. Me and my wife was on a walk and we're talking and we're always trying to communicate better. So we're practicing talking, like literally in a marriage, in a relationship, you have to practice communicating. Am I right? Absolutely. Right. So we're talking and I ask her, I'm like, have you thought about that? And for our entire relationship, all right, right now where I'm recording this, we've been together for about 19 years. All right, going on 20 years. And this like really hit me when I was like, hey, I've got to like put something together and give it to the world because I thought this was just common knowledge. I did. And we're walking and I asked my wife, I'm like, hey, whenever you say that you've got to kind of like sit on this a little bit and you're like, hey, I just need some time to think about it, what actually happens? And what'll happen is like, we're talking, me and my wife, Lori, and we're going back and forth. And she's like, all right, I can't handle anymore. I just need to go think on this. Just give me some time and I'll go think on this. So I asked her, I was like, what do you actually do? Like when you think about this, like whenever you need time, I was like, do you actually think about it? And the answer was no. And not only was the answer no, but then I shared with her what I do. So I am always, when I have a conversation with somebody, even right now, I am currently skill stacking and I am learning how to teach and present on a video just like this. Now, Even while I'm doing this, I am thinking, what could I do better? Now, I guarantee you, after I close this video and I hand this video off to my team to edit for probably the next week and a half, I'm going to be thinking about this recording. And there's little phrases in here, or emotions, or facial expressions, or hand movements. And I'm going to be thinking about what could I do better? This is where we learn it, guys. This is it. This is the secret. You have to learn how to reflect. All right. Like, we might talk about like meditation. Like, meditation, I don't know if you're into that kind of thing or not. Like, I pretty much try a lot of stuff. All right. I've tried meditation. I still meditate to a point. There's all different forms of meditation. Reason I bring that up is the simplest form of meditation is you close your eyes, take a deep breath through your nose, breathe out through your nose, and then you only think on the air moving in your nose and out of your nose, and you think about that sensation, and you don't think about anything else. And then what happens is you might take 2 breaths, 3 breaths, whatever, but then we call it the drunk monkey brain. The drunk monkey brain comes in, and all of a sudden this thought comes through. And when this thought comes through, most of the time we try to fight it. And we're like, okay, let me focus back on my breath. But what really helps is you just let it go. And I haven't been successful with that. Okay, normally I'm just like, oh my gosh, let's just go, right? Like, sitting still, like, is crazy. But anyway, my point with that is we have to reflect. And the meditation part of this, where you're focusing on it and actually thinking about it, that's what I want to like really hone in, because this is where the work is, guys. Thinking, this is the hard part. The easy part is discovering something and then going and go and try to do it. And what happens is we mistake discovery for learning, and we start before we have learned anything, or we discover it, we go straight to the next step, which is execute, and we get burnt out. We get burnt out because we don't understand the process of skill stacking. Now, I cannot stress to you enough how important it is to understand that this is the normal way that we develop and we grow old. Okay? If you want to be successful, learn this one skill: how to skill stack. Everything else will come naturally because you know how to learn now. It's amazing. This right here literally single-handedly changed my life, changed my children's life, changed my wife's life, changed my team's life, and countless others, friends, and paying customers. When they learn skill stacking, it's a game changer. I know businesses that are making $100,000 a month, even up to $500,000 a month. When I introduce this concept to them, it changes the game, because now, whenever they hire people or even themselves, you don't have to feel overwhelmed, because this is the process. Now, what happens, we discover, we normally skip learning, and then we execute, and we immediately hit a wall. And now this new obstacle will not allow us to move any further. Most people quit right here and here. Am I right? Is this you? Think about it. Do you have an example of something that you wanted to do? You discovered it. Whenever you first discover something, the next step is not to learn everything there is to know about that thing. No, 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 no. No, ma'am. No, sir. The next step is to learn the minimum required to start executing. Okay. And normally that's not much. Sometimes we do that naturally. Now, whenever we hit this wall, there's only two choices. You have two options, and they're very simple. Either you quit, or you repeat. That's it. It's that simple, guys. Whenever you hit that wall, you're going to go back, and that wall is discovery. You just discovered your obstacle, and you need to go back and you need to learn the bare minimum to execute again. Am I right? Are you getting this? This is amazing, guys. This is so simple. It will change your life. All right, I promise you. Now, there's a repeat. So, repeat, you got this guy. He had an idea, he's shredding it. But what he gets to take away, he gets to upload a new skill or a new obstacle that he overcame, experience. And what he's actually uploading is that's wisdom. Whenever we hit this wall and we choose to overcome it, that's wisdom. So let's take a look at this. This is the skill stacking cycle. The man over here on the left has a Lego piece on his back. That's the missing piece. Now, sometimes we don't start with the Lego piece. Okay, we don't, because it's brand new and we don't have that Lego piece. Now we discover, you can see he's got the little metal detector and he's discovering, he's searching for something. Well, he finds something. Now he's going to think about it and then he's going to execute on it. And whenever he executes on it, after that, he's going to hit a wall and he's going to have to repeat this cycle, but he gets to upload. This is the skill stacking cycle. Now, later, I want you to continue watching because we're not done, because I want to share with you the skill stacking loop, which is amazing. And that's what is in this sheet. This one pager that you got right now, or in the workbook, is going to go deeper into the skill stacking loop. Now, let's watch skill stacking in action. So this guy, he wants to wrestle a bull. All right. He thinks this is a great idea. He's seen Bob do it, and Bob got all the girls, and he wants to do it too. So he's like, I'm game. All right. He discovered it and he jumped right in. All right. What he did not do is he did not take time out and watch Bob be successful at it. He did not reflect. Am I right? So this guy now, he's running for his life. And he's like, that didn't work, right? And he is discovering that that is not how you wrestle a bull. Now learning occurs. Well, he's got that lasso. He's getting ready to rope that bull. He's like, I got you now. He just knows by the back of his mind that he has this bull by the horns, right? Well, nope. That happened, right? Now this bull is dragging him all over the arena. All right. He's executing. Now he did the thing, which is amazing, but he's getting drug everywhere, right? So now the bull stops and takes a big old dump right there for him to slide into it, right? So he hit that wall, right? So when he hit that wall with that bull taking that big old poo, what is he going to do now? Is he going to get up and he's going to walk away and go take a shower and wash the poo off of him? And then after he gets the poo off of him, what's going to happen next? Right? Is he going to quit or is he going to come back? I'll tell you what, the way you should skill stack is go ahead and wrestle that bull with a little poo on you. Am I right? All right. So he hits that wall and he's got to figure it out, man. So this is the missing key, guys. This is the missing key. Let's learn from the experience. So I want you to look at these doodles, and in the top left-hand corner right there, he's remembering, he is reflecting. This is the part that I didn't realize that it's just not so common. Like my wife, like she gets stressed out or whatever that is, and she's not sitting there thinking about what she could have done better. And I did not only ask my wife this, I've asked probably hundreds of people this, and I was shocked. Like, you would be really surprised how many people don't ask themselves what could they do better. They don't ask themselves, oh, I said this and I felt this, and next time I should try this, right? That's reflection doesn't really happen, and I thought it was natural. I did. Instead, what happens is we fall into the bull poo, and that bull poo stinks, and we're too worried about the bull poo stinking on our boots and on our shoes and on our knees, and all we want to do is get the bull poo off instead of reflecting on how we ended up in the bull poo the first place, right? So this guy, he's reflecting and he's remembering all of these little events, these experiences. And then all of a sudden he's looking in his mirror over here on the right and he remembers that feeling. And he's like, I ain't following that bull poo anymore. This will not happen again. And he looks himself in the mirror and he says, I got this now. I reflected on it and I know what I did wrong. I'm going to go try something else. You hear what I just said? I'm going to go try something else. All right. So now he repeats the attempt. He mounts the bull. Now that is wisdom, my friends. That is wisdom. He repeats it and he didn't make the same mistake and he mounts the bull. All right. That is the skill stack complete. Now he gets to move on to the next skill. Now, this is the skill stacking loop. Now, if you can just master this right here, it's going to solve a lot of your overwhelm problems. First, you start with discover. Then you go to learn, you go to execute, you hit your wall, you reflect on what the wall was, and you come up with a new game plan. And then you upload what you learned, and then you have a puzzle piece. That's your first puzzle piece. And then you discover, and then you repeat this cycle as many times as it takes in order to be successful. Now, I'm going to take you back to the wisdom slide, and then we're going to wrap this up, guys. If you're still here, I appreciate you. I hope that you got some value from this because this is game changing. Please teach your kids, teach your family, share this. All right. This is free. Share this. All right. So, wisdom. I want you to read the J.K. Rowling's quote down here. It is impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all. In which case, you fail by default. In which case, you failed by default. Now, there's something that I want you to understand. Everything has its own form of hard. For instance, being fat is hard, being skinny is hard, being rich is hard, being poor is hard. Loving your wife is hard, cheating on your wife is hard. Loving your kids is hard, beating your kids is hard. I'm using some really tough examples there because I really want you to understand you got to choose your hard. And failing to choose your hard by default, your hard will be chosen for you. But if you can comprehend and understand skill stacking, it will help you so much, my friend. And I want that for you. I do. I want you to be successful. And that's the reason you need to learn how to skill stack. Now, let me take you over here to the one pager and let me give you a little bit guidance on the tool and how to use the tool. So, this one pager is a super cool tool that I use for training. And what I want you to do is come up here and hit save. And when you click save, all you do is enter your email, right? So you enter your email, and I'm going to use my personal email here. All right, save and sign up. It's free, guys. It's free. All right, but now you get to save this. All right, so it is free. We do this for you, and you create your account. And now all the one pagers that I send you, you can save. And not only can you save, but you can actually use them and update them anytime. So, for instance, what do you want to accomplish? Brain dump. I find that one of the big things that we do is we have ideas and we have things that we want to accomplish, and we just try to do them all at once. Don't do that. Don't do that. Pick one or two and then do it. So, brain dump. What do you want to do? I want to learn. Shoot, I was going to say guitar. All right, I want to learn guitar. I hope that's spelled correctly. I'm not that great at spelling. Wall stopping me, right? What's stopping you from doing that, right? Don't have one, right? Why is this important? Um, Sing my wife a song for anniversary, right? Um, that's abbreviation anyway. Right. And then you can add as many as you want to. So like I put, click to add right here. All you gotta do is just add another one. You can add another row over here, right? This is what you want to accomplish. Go ahead and think about this a little bit. And then I am actively trying to accomplish. What are you actively trying to accomplish now? Because you should constantly be working on yourself. If you're not growing, my friend, you are dying. All right. You're either growing or dying. If you think that you can stop and you can plateau and you can remain the same, you are mistaken. All right. There's no such thing as a plateau. There is no such thing as plateau. You're either going up or you're going down. It might be going down at such a small rate you can't really feel it until 10 years have passed and you look back at your life and you're like, man, I really went downhill. Don't be that. I don't want that for you. All right. So I am actively trying to accomplish this skill, right? Type in the skill, whatever that is, type in your start date, type in your completed date whenever that happens. Now, what are all of the skills needed? This right here, again, you can edit all of this. All right, so click on it. And I went ahead and put some examples in here. But what skills find the traffic? Now, this example right here is a question that I put in there for you because in the Deal Boss project, our mission is to make high level wealth creation accessible to everyone. Well, what I did was you have to figure out traffic, you have to figure out leads and make money, and then the processes go along with that. And I went ahead and teed this up in case you're using this for your real estate or wealth creation goals. But you can change this however you want to. You can change the colors, you can type whatever you want to in any of these fields, and then you can save it. All right. And not only can you do that, but also you can prioritize it. All right. So you can move them around. If you want your notes really quick, you can just pull them up just like that. Right. There's a little thing right here. Then the skill stacking loop. Oh yeah, and I want to make sure you understand this too. What skill makes the money? You can actually click on this little plus, and it will add another one. So you can type whatever you want to, hit enter, and it adds another card, and you can move that card around too. Cool. And if you don't want it, all you do is click on it, hit delete. This is yours, guys. This is yours. So skill stacking loop. Discover. These are the questions that you really need to ask yourself. What have you tried or done so far? Put that down. What did you discover? Because it wasn't a waste, it's just you haven't took time to reflect on it in order to actually learn. Now, when it comes to learning, what do you actually know how to do now that you did not before? Right? Reflect on that. Like, did you actually learn? A lot of times we didn't actually learn because we was checking the box. We was in the car, we got in the car at work and we went on our drive to go home and we don't remember driving. It happens. So you actually have to spend time reflecting and studying what happened, right? Give it some effort, guys. It's not easy. This part right here is the reason people are overwhelmed and they're not successful. They don't do this part. Learning is reflecting, and reflecting is how you succeed. What did you do that if you had a second chance, you would do differently? Ask yourself these questions and then answer them. All right, execute. All right. I have a tremendous respect for Andy Frisella. Andy Frisella created this thing called 75 Hard, and it's a mental discipline routine. All right. A lot of people think it's a fitness routine to lose weight and stuff like that. It's not. You can Google it, look it up. It's free. It's called 75 Hard. And I went ahead and put some of these as an example in here. But also, he talks about his power list. Now, I do the power list myself. All right, you don't have to do 20, 30, 40 tasks every day in order to be successful. Just pick five. Pick five, and no matter what, these five get done every day. If you don't get them done, then mark it as a loss. And if you do get them done, mark your day as a win. But you can do that right here. Okay. Now, the 75 hard part is like walking 45 minutes twice a day, drinking a gallon of water, reading 10 pages of a real book. I highly recommend books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Dale Carnegie books, Napoleon Hill books. I love those books. Those books will give you so much value and it will open up your mind. All right, repeat. Now remember, repeat. This is when you really get into the reflection because now you have the experience in order to gain the wisdom. When and discovery happened, you didn't really have the experience to gain the wisdom, so you couldn't do these steps. Now, what is that wall you hit? What is that? Go ahead and define it. And there is no right or wrong answer, guys. Just use this for what it is, right? Is this wall fixable? If so, how? So a lot of times when we do something, the wall's just not fixable, or the wall takes too much energy right now and it's not worth our time. And because it's not worth our time, you shouldn't really spend that much time on it, right? Because you just need to move on to another skill. Or you ever heard the book The Who, Not the How? Right? Go find your who and let them overcome that wall for you, right? Is this wall fixable? If so, how? What could you do differently this time around? And then I want you to repeat this cycle, right? Remember, I am actively trying to accomplish. This is where you write down your things and you can take notes on them, okay? You can absolutely take notes. If you would like me to add something to this and you find like you need another section or something like that, message us, reach out to us, and we'll see if we can accommodate you. Okay. Now, listen, guys, I greatly appreciate you staying on for this training. I hope this brought you tremendous value. Okay. I know it has me, and I know it has my family and my team and so many others already. And it will you too if you just give it a chance. But the learning part, the actual reflecting, it's not easy. It takes time and it takes effort. But once you start doing it and you start practicing it, smooth as butter. All right, man. Let's skill stack our way all the way to success, my friends. You got it.